Let's jump into our first category, my man. We're going to be breaking down the knockout of the year. Let's talk about it. All right, AJ. So check out the people that we got up on here, man. We got Demetrius Johnson knockout over Adriano Moraes. We got Michael Chandler front kicking Tony Ferguson into the oblivion. Molly McCann, Leon Edwards, Zhang Wei Li, all with their own set of finishes that were pretty fantastic across the board. And I want to kind of go through one by one before we actually break down who our picks are. And folks, spoiler alert, they're not all going to be consensus picks right here. So first and foremost, my man, you notice one trend. There's one basically knockout here that's not UFC related. The majority of this stuff is all going to be UFC, but you have to take into consideration Demetrius Johnson versus Adriano Moraes, the second fight, the rematch, right? I mean, Mighty Mouse, he loses. This is something that we're not used to seeing, right? He gets hit with that knee, that grounded knee that you can do in one championship, no problem. But what does he do? He comes back, gives him the right cross, follows it up with a flying knee himself, and puts him out to pasture, my man. In terms of just like a knockout in and of itself, right? 125 pounds, flyweights over here, man. You got to say that's pretty damn impressive, am I right?
I think one of the more impressive things about it, Derek, is when he catches in the right hand, Moraes, is moving back. Moraes.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, Moraes and Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, Moraes, excuse me. Demetrius hits Moraes. Moraes falls back into the cage, and Demetrius is able to see the momentum coming back and meet him with the flying knee, man. Right. And to do that at the age, as well as with the history of the fight and all the mental things that are going on with this being the second fight, man, shows Demetrius Johnson is still on his game, still at one of the pinnacles of the sport, man. And I think there's an amazing inclusion into this category.
And I think there's also something about it that you're out there fighting in Singapore, right? You have a different audience. Everything feels different. The vibe is different. The mood is different. And I bet every single day the UFC is like, God damn, why did we trade Mighty Mouse for Ben Askren? I can't believe it. But it is what it is right there, bro. Listen, let's talk about another one. Another one that's obviously like the front runner, man. If you really look across the board, everybody is pretty much hailing this as the knockout of the year. And for good measure, man. You have Michael Chandler, who is just an explosive man, explosive athlete, right? And he does something to Tony Ferguson that we just haven't seen before. And for a lot of people, I think that's why that's knockout of the year. When you front kick somebody and you face plant El Kukui, right? The dude who's the boogeyman, the dude who just has indomitable pressure, chin, will, and you just flatline him like that. Do you think that should just be automatic knockout of the year? Give it to him.
I mean, Derek, it's when you just see the picture, the scene, you watch the fight, you watch everything go down. One of the big sayings is, you get your head punted into the third row, right? That's what everybody's looking for. Michael Chandler changed El Kukui like 10 years with the way he elevated this man's skull. And I think right there, that's an instant front runner. It has to be. And that's why it's on everybody's minds, like you're saying.
And just like literally the unorthodox nature of it. When Anderson Silva did that to Vitor Belfort and he just hit him with the front kick and just like slumped him out. That was one thing, right? We'd never seen it before, really. We're like, ooh. This one was like a football punt. Like technique-wise, this wasn't a fantastic technique. This was literally, I'm just going to kick your face in and we'll see. I'm surprised that his head didn't fall off of his shoulders, man, but that was a hell of a knockout right there. All right, now for a couple of these other ones, man, I think context matters, right? So let's talk about Zhang Wei Li with her spinning back fist over, Joanna Champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, man. And I think the reason why, if you look at just in terms of stunning knockouts, is this really up there? Like, let's be honest. Is it really up there in terms of just stunning nature?
I always think of spinning knockouts pretty stunning. Anytime anybody's able to set up a spinning move, yeah. And I think what I'm looking for right here, I'm with you with the context, man. To do that to Joanna Champion, to do that to somebody that is very hard to knock out, and if I'm mistaken, one, maybe two knockouts on Joanna's record. Very impressive with the strength Wei Li can do, and just a skill level to set that up against a champion, man. Impressive.
Think about it. Rose Namajunas, when she caught Joanna, she had to follow it up with some punches to get her out of there. Zhang Wei Li hit her with the spinning back fist, and Joanna just face planted. Like, that's the context right there. You did it over who was formerly pretty much the GOAT of the strawweight division. You just showcase in the rematch after you ballooned her head up in the first one, that in the second one you could just flatline her. You put her to retirement too. So all of those things combined, I think context-wise, we're like, wow, that is a fantastic knockout. Now, these are some interesting ones right here. Leon Edwards, right, versus Kamaru Usman. A lot of people really, really like this knockout. How can you not, right? Because if you're talking about context, bro, you can't beat this context-wise. First off, you're losing the fight, right? You're out of it. Your corner has to talk you back into it. Then, fifth round, when you're really thinking minute and a half left, all right, man, something's got to land. He doesn't look like he's dropping a lot of urgency. Kamaru Usman, dicks, dives, dumps, whatever, head kicked into oblivion over the pound-for-pound champion, the dude who nobody thought was going to be beatable in this sense. And he did it to take the belt away from the pound-for-pound champion. I mean, context-wise, you can't beat it, but just stunning knockout-wise. I mean, what do you think?
Context-wise, it's all there, Derek. People were writing his obituary into the thing. I think that one right there is a layup for me at least. But for the knockout-wise, for the technician-wise, to not give up on yourself, set up a feint, throw a two, and know that Kamaru's going to dip to one side so that you can throw your left kick over the top, man, to me, that is beautiful technique, beautiful setup, seeing it. And especially, like you said, man, losing the fight, keeping that mental composure there. You got your coaches yelling at you. Everybody thinks you're done. I think this is a beautiful technical knockout as well.
And I'll tell you, man, it was also the commentary. Like, it was just perfect. It was movie-esque, right? John Anik being like, oh, listen, he'd never quit on himself. This man is not cut from that cloth.
It's not the cloth from which he is cut, as he sends a left over the top. Man.
Fantastic, context-wise. And then lastly, man, this is the one that I just thought in terms of pure violence, like this got to take the crown. And we're talking about Molly Meatball McCann over Luana Carolina, right? You have Meatball versus Dread. You have car crash collisions turned into, you saw her set it up, you saw her look at it, she's like, hold on, what? Boom, spinning back fist. But it's not just the spinning back fist. It's first off, in women's flyweight division, how often do you see this happen? You do not. This was like Molly McCann's first knockout win, and I can't tell you how long, right? But you hit the spinning back fist, and you slump your opponent, literally flatline them, slump them, and it was actually scary after the fact because they're like, yo, she's not getting up. Like, she potentially cut a body here. So for the context of how often do you see this? Never really, right? How violent was it? That was more violent than some of the men's knockouts right there. And on top of that, the picture of like they slumped out like that, you never want to see it. But with that being said, brother, now we need to announce a winner. So let's talk about it, man. Let's see who our winner is. And I'm going to go solo for this one. I'm going to start us off because I got Molly Meatball McCann as the winner, man. Luana Carolina, UFC London. That's my knockout of the year, folks. It's pretty clean cut, simple. This is violence in its finest form, right? Context-wise, I think it fits the bill as well. But at the end of the day, man, Michael Chandler over Tony Ferguson, that was a very close second for me due to the violent nature of it. But a lot of this, it's really what you like, right? It's context. It's the beauty of the technique, right? It's really just like what gets you going as a fight fan. And clearly you can see I like violence. But with that being said, now let me turn it over to my man, AJ. AJ, brother, I'm going to give you the drum roll. I'm going to announce it. Let's get it, brother. Who is your knockout of the year?
Derek, my knockout of the year, Leon Edwards, man, the high kick over Kamaru Usman. I'm with you. I think the Molly McCann, the knockout, this violence, the setup, beautiful. It's all right there. But to me, the storyline, getting stepped on for the majority of your career. You eat a 3-piece and a soda at your own home turf, and nobody gives you any respect after that. You get passed up by everybody in the division. Your obituary has been written in literally as you're still losing the fight. Everybody's like saying, "Oh, you're happy enough to just to take a decision." That's a moral win for Leon Edwards. This guy's nobody. As John Anik says it, we said it before, Derek, this is not the cloth from which he is cut to give up on himself. Left kick high over the top, man. It is a beautiful story piece, backstory, setup, combo technique. Everything was there for me. So this one I had to choose basically because it is the full encompassment. I agree with you. That Molly McCann, I love Meatball Molly. That pure violence knockout. It is a thing to see. But I think with the UFC, you need a little bit of story. You need a little bit of the denouement, things coming together. And for me, Leon Edwards high kick over Kamaru Usman, man, it's a chef's kiss. It is a beautiful thing. And good to see Rocky finally get his own too, man.
That's right. That's right. And I'll tell you what, man, like at the end of the day, you're right. You have to have a good story to really sell anything. But I do think the story behind the Molly McCann one, she did it in UFC London, brother. The Scouser did it in London. Like, come on, brother. So head to head, neck to neck. We don't have a consensus pick on this one, but these are both of our picks for knockout of the year.